Yeah.
Okay, we all set to go?
Can I hear you?
All right. Rocco, can you hear us?
Yes,
Good.
great.
Okay, it's Jason, Doug, Bart, and me, and Lise. That's it. So, a skeleton crew. So first thing, I'll call the meeting to order, and then we need an approval of the minutes of February 8th.
I'll make a motion for minutes.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay. Any changes or comments? Okay, good. Audience of citizens. Rocco. I don't think we have any citizens. So, Doug, you're gonna brief
Quick
as
updates.
possible.
Yes. Brian's downstairs tonight, or upstairs.
Hopefully we get done
Yeah.
before he gets here.
So I think you saw what I circulated out, the revised plan. Everybody saw the the bi-weekly job meeting minutes.
Yep.
PD, any questions, let us know.
Yep.
There's one PO for your consideration review related to the steel beam for the overhead door. That was sent out, so whenever you can take a look at that.
Might as well continue with that then. The one question I think we all have is, why? I think that's it.
Yeah, we could check with Brian on that, coordination of that.
Yeah, it seems,
I can't hear you guys at all. What's going on?
turn your hearing out.
I mean, private?
No.
I can hear.
It seemed like an odd thing to miss to me. Now, I can see other stuff, but that's sort of primary meaning that would need.
Yeah, nice sketch to make it work with what they need, but I'm not sure how it got missed.
Yeah.
Are we on the police station?
Yes.
Yeah.
And what are you talking about was missing?
Just the update. Regardless.
Oh, there's a
Oh,
change
that's
order
the
in,
update.
but the big question in the change order is how it's the need for a steel beam.
And PCO 1, which will be a change order, AIA change order coming forward.
This is for Millennium.
No, this is for, oh yeah, I'm sorry, Millennium, yes.
That was the only thing in addition to the bi-weekly meetings and the project. So one PCO 1 for review for the steel beam and associated work regarding the overhead door.
Okay.
So that's this.
Taking an action to sign it?
And it's, hold on a second, don't get ahead of ourselves. It was for a total of, this is the change order?
Yeah, that's the PCO, and then there'll be a formal AIA to follow.
Okay. So the change order, if I'm reading this right, is for $12,278.07.
No wonder the bids are so cheap.
Which we could take it out of,
Contingency.
what's that?
Take it out, contingency.
Yeah, we could take it out of contingency. And we have a big enough contingency.
Yeah, you can always approve pending architect
Yeah,
review.
you know, I'm sure we'll get an explanation from Brian. I'm sure he wouldn't have recommended it if it was needed. I mean, the fact of the matter is, we have no choice. What are we gonna do?
Yeah.
Stick it in somebody's ear and say, no, you bought this without the change order? I don't.
He did review and approve the PCO.
Yeah, no, I know he did,
Yeah.
but,
Do you want to table it until
No,
he can
no.
come here?
no, I don't want it. I mean,
I'll make a motion, we approve the change order 1.
second,
I'll second it.
Rocco? You hear any of this? Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody
Aye.
opposed? The change order is approved. And if Brian gets here, I'm sure at some time
Yeah,
we get some reason,
have some dialogue
something
after.
that we don't.
But there will be issues if there's a few other stupid things.
Yeah, if they continue, you're right. This
This
just
is a pretty big one.
I mean, there's, yeah. But I don't want to hold up something at the start of the project just when they're getting going. It's,
Cause they gotta order that. probably.
yeah. Okay, so
Different doors.
should we do the invoices right now? Just do it in order?
I appreciate it.
Okay, this will help Lisa
I
out.
thought all
So,
the invoices were in the.
I know, hold on.
Just not quite sure if I
She had a one. No, this is the other crap. The invoices are in here. This is her gold standard. So this is the
have.
invoice, no. We're gonna do first, we're gonna do Chikunsky and Humes because it's first on the list. So Chikunsky and Humes is for an amount of $72,675. I looked at it, doesn't seem out of whack to me.
Make a motion, we approve it.
Second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. So that's approved. Now we'll go to Millennium's invoice.
I think you're probably there in triplicate. but
Yeah, I know, I'm
It's
just,
just a new order, so
that's okay.
I think early on.
It's out of order. I don't have it. There's Newfields. This is Allstate's. I don't see Millenniums. That is,
That's all.
yeah,
That's who?
This is,
that's
Oh,
Chikunsky
Millennium.
Humes. Oh,
right?
I'm
Is that
sorry.
Millennium?
Yes.
Oh, this is, okay,
Application number 2,
all right,
3 sets.
then we did it in reverse order. We don't have, I don't have a Chikunsky Humes.
Yes, that was the one
That
sheet.
was the one.
Wait a minute, one sheet? I thought everything is always in triplicate.
No, Chikunsky Humes was the one page that you had me
Prior?
stamp.
Oh, that one, okay, never mind. Then we gotta redo this again.
No, you don't.
Yes, we do, because we approved a different amount for Chikunsky Humes. So let's approve Millennium Builders. Millennium Builders, which is application number 2, is for $72,675. It's signed by Brian Humes, reviewed by Brian. And when I read it before, it looked fine to me, so I don't know if anybody has any questions on it.
I'll approve it.
Second.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
The Millenniums is approved. Now, Chikunsky Humes, the one that you stamped.
Only would be 72,000.
Where did I put it?
It's out of your way.
Here it, nope, that's not it either.
Here it
is, right here.
is.
We have an invoice from Chikunsky Humes.
A little louder, please.
We have an invoice from Santa Claus, from Chikunsky Humes for $4,270. That's better. That sound better?
Thought it was 72,000.
Need an approval.
I motion we approve.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. That's 2 down. All right, that takes care. Any issues at the police station? I mean, the meetings are going well. There's
Yeah,
no.
going well. We usually check in a few times during the week.
Yeah.
Adam will call us if there's any coordination, just internally, things that need to happen, but
Yep.
everything's, our bi-weekly meeting this past Wednesday, everyone feels that we hit a milestone a little ahead of schedule based on they're ready to pour concrete next week.
Right.
All the under slab work, vapor barrier, so the tank has been set, so no impacts, no complaints. Have you heard any complaints up here for anything?
No.
So
I talked to Mike, everybody's happy.
yeah, downstairs is good. So they're doing their thing.
Yep.
PD's happy.
Good. All right. How about the Board of Ed?
Board of Ed, did anyone have a chance to see the weekly minutes, job meeting minutes? It captures, where we're at, but everything's on schedule, moving along. The big news was the East Wing units have been started, they're running. We hope to have the West Wing units running next week. Programmers finishing up, so. There was a few things that popped up. PCO 12, 13, 14 for your review. 12 and 14 being a little more time sensitive. There's an RFI that supports PCO 14, some piping relocation. The thought for down in the lower level classrooms, there's some pipe to reuse the piping is one kind of designed as planned to reuse the piping, but due to the exterior wall, concern of freezing, and then the access with the millwork, the way the controls would be, the valving, the thought would be to kind of abandon those in place, remove what we could, but then run new pipes down. And that was sent out, circulated for the enclosure to kind of show the pictorial, how the piping would lay out. So that was for PCO 14. And then there's also number 13 for the sensors. There's a couple classroom unit ventilators with dividers. The classrooms split up by a divider. So those weren't called for right now. So that would be an extra to wire those units on the control side individually. So
Okay.
there's a proposed change order for that. And then lastly is the dielectric unions, fittings, copper to metal pipes that got circulated out prior. So we have the 3 PCOs with the values supporting backup.
So it's 4,000, 9,000, 9,500, and 17,700.
And Patrick referenced that project allowances could be utilized. I took a quick look today. If I'm reading it right, we have about 185,000 in allowances still.
Right.
So if the commission's in agreement, or if they want to discuss further, there is some pending review with CES. So ASC, their proposal seems to support the backup. So.
When you say pending review with CES, CES hasn't opined on.
Yeah, the PCOs came out, so we can.
When you say came out
They were circulated today.
today,
Yeah.
so in other words,
They came out.
came
at
out
the,
today, and people want to get paid today. I mean, this is my problem with this stuff. I'm not against it, not opposed to it. I mean, that stuff happens. I think we should use them out of the allowance, but technically, we need time to review.
That's right. Yeah, the formal PCO was submitted yesterday. The job meeting circulated today. We've been talking about it for a week or two. Some were older. The dielectric fittings is about a week or two now. And then
When did CES first hear about this? I mean,
It all-
that's what we pay them.
yeah, it all
to
came up.
review this stuff.
It came up at the meeting this week. The dielectrics have been out there for a couple weeks. I think that was you brought up at the last meeting, but the temperature sensors for the new units, and then the option to repipe the lower level that just came up in the last week. The only thing time sensitive would be the dielectric and the repiping of the lower level, just to follow their schedule. So.
Yeah, I'd like to find out if there's any way you could get more of a heads up. I mean, I know this stuff happens, and especially it's going to happen at these schools, but it seems like people should have some working capital. Although this isn't working capital, this is the job stops unless we approve it.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes,
Hey, Mike.
All right, I just want to add that it's not like things happen. It's 12 and 14 are existing conditions that have nothing to do with what Allstate and CES,
No, I know.
Okay, you got that?
yeah, I'm frustrated that it always is hurry up and, you get stuff in at 5 o'clock, trying to read it when my computer wasn't, when I couldn't print it. So
Yeah.
that's all.
Okay, yeah, and
That's the
Allstate,
only
they,
complaint.
Yeah, we were waiting for Allstate to formalize these PCOs, and they were getting price, you know how it is. And now they're
I
saying,
know.
well, if we don't get the prices on the dielectrics, we're going to have to stop in 4 days. So that's kind of the message we're getting. So I'll mute myself again.
No, that's okay. So I think no objection from you, Mike, I think the thing we ought to do is take them out of allowances.
Yes, we kind of, when we met with Patrick, he was like, we have enough money. And
Yeah.
the question was, are there any big risks that we would expect coming up? And right now the project is going so far. I don't see, and then again, it's not my game, but I'm not sensing that there's a big, like, unknown, condition that we're going to hit. There are going to be some smaller ones, but maybe not. So what he's saying is you have it in the contract. So why not use them?
Right. That's why we put them in there. So,
That's right.
and just so everybody knows, together with what's going on at the school, last, I don't know, 2 weeks ago, Mike and I and Doug got a complaint from a parent of a student who claimed that, I don't know if it's a he or she or an it, couldn't tell from the letter, couldn't breathe. And the student was apparently rushed to urgent care, where the issue didn't surface because when said student got to urgent care, he, she, or it could breathe fine. So Doug ordered through Mystic Air, the parent wrote a memo to Jeff Cookno and demanded pretty much that the school do testing. I wanted to know why a whole litany of things hadn't been done. So we ordered testing from Mystic Air. However, I had a lot of questions, and I asked for Jeff Cookno to call me. He has yet to call me because the immediate conclusion by the parent was that the reason for the student's discomfort was, well, it must be what's going on in the school.
So we got that report back. Did you guys read the summary?
Well,
let me
let
just finish
what
Sure.
my thought process was. So I went to the school to meet with the principal and anybody else who was there because I thought, geez, if this is a big problem in the school, maybe there's a dozen kids that have fallen. Maybe the school is, maybe teachers are experiencing it, custodians. Turns out, no, it's one student with a history, apparently, of breathing and heart issues because the student has a team of pulmonary specialists already engaged. So, and then I could tell by the questioning that the school knew who this person was. They smiled and nodded, and they said there were no other issues with anybody else, none. So I said, okay, but we look pretty foolish if we don't test. It's probably a good idea to test to make everybody happy at a cost of $7,500. I was going to offer to see if the parent would like to contribute part of that cost for her child, but I'm not going to do it.
Since they probably want to plant it.
Well, they also got a letter she also said that she had a letter from the child's doctor, which she was going to provide, and the letter was a wishy-washy letter that I could have written, knowing nothing about medical stuff. Didn't say anything. So anyhow, we got the test. The report came back today, and what everybody suspected, there's not a single issue with the proviso that, you should get some more fresh air into the building because fresh air helps with particulates. So essentially they said, same thing that people said back when COVID was a big issue, open the friggin' windows, let some fresh air in. So I think there wasn't a single thing. Everything was under. All of the measurements were under standards. There wasn't anything near the top of the standard. They were all well below. So I guess, I don't know so you provided a copy of that to Jeff.
Yeah, the
I'm
Board of Ed,
assuming that's already with the lady.
Board of Ed has it, and we haven't heard, there
Yeah.
hasn't been any follow-up, and then there's a few recommendations that we'll act on, coordinate with the Board of Ed.
Well, after a while with this, anything is going to be this lady's nickel, in my opinion. We can't keep doing stuff just because one person has a complaint. It could be that this child has a problem breathing because he or she or it is being bullied by the person next to him or gets nervous taking tests. I don't know. You'd think that there's somebody else would have a problem. One out of how many, 200 kids and teachers and custodians and staff at the school, and yet no one else has a breathing issue because of this? Doesn't make any sense. So it's an isolated incident, probably has nothing to do with what's going on at the school, other than the kids' reaction to what's going on at the school. So my recommendation would be to be real careful about what we agree to spend any money on. In fact, since unless the Board of Ed wants to spend its money, but in terms of through the project, no. We did what we did, provided the information. That's it. That's my opinion. I may be the only one who has it like that, but that's what I'm going to be talking about if we're asked to go further. But we'll see. I guess when did this report come back in?
This morning.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you can bet the parent has it already because Jeff is quick to hand stuff off. So we'll see what happens. But just so everybody knows that was the genesis of this. Now the school knows who the parent is and who the child is.
And the invoice, the payment.
We didn't receive it yet, so do you want to run it through here, or do you want us to do it through our school account?
Well, I'd do it through the school account. I mean, I'm thinking the Board of Ed should pay for this. I mean, we did testing in the beginning of the year. We know what's going on. There's nothing in this nonsense about a burning smell a year ago. I mean, months ago, whatever that nonsense was. She claimed that she didn't get a detailed explanation of a burning smell. Hell, I went to school in my town. The school burned down. We didn't get a detailed explanation.
That was when the East Wing and associated units were commissioned with the hot water, got that new metal heat.
Oh,
yeah.
it's just
So,
a,
yeah. So, and then there was some caution tape that got a little hot and created an odor. So that got resolved fairly quickly. So
yeah,
haven't had any other complaints since.
Okay.
So
Well-
consensus would be the commission is going to ask that it pay through the Board of Ed budget
Be Department 61. That's our.
department.
Just put Department 61, which I don't even know what that is, but Doug does.
So
Yeah.
the town's portion of the school expenses. So.
Right.
You step prepared for at least 6 more years, maybe more, depending on what grade they're in.
4th grade, I found out.
As they
It
go
wasn't
through
in there.
middle school, high
Yeah.
school, there's always going to be
Yeah.
some
It's
issue.
always going to be something like that. But so that's, I'm glad you did it. I'm glad Mr. Gear did it. We have, solid footing to stand on. Every time I've gone in there, it's been fine. And I would have thought that if it was a real issue, that they would have been dropping like flies. And you can believe Megan Royce would have been all over us. But that wasn't the case. So, anyhow. So that's what's going on in the school. And I going back to address Patrick's comments about using the allowance. I would think that we're far enough into that job and things are going well that this is, otherwise we're going to be stuck with a big allowance.
What percentage completion? 85%.
I have to check the payment app, but I think we're crossing the halfway mark.
Yeah, we're about halfway. In my mind, anyway. I'm sorry, I can't. My eyes take 2 seconds to adjust to looking at a distance and then reading. I don't have my glasses, so.
We're over the 50-yard line, right?
Boom, boom, boom. Now let's see, if we compare. Yeah. In dollars, it's a $4 million project. They've completed 2.6 million to date. So now we have 2 million 1,000,004 to go. Oh, so we're well over 50%. I'm talking about. But in terms of timing, I don't know whether we're still looking at the end of, I think, 2024.
Yeah, contractually, I believe it's November of
Right,
24.
right.
As
So-
far as the way the allowances were broken out, we're past halfway as far as what the allowances were allocated for.
Right,
The above ceiling, piping through the wall, fire
Right.
stopping.
right.
So a good portion of what was.
I wonder when the east wing gets done, it's, there's not too much other intricate stuff.
All the west wing lower level units are set, pipes are run,
They're all done.
electricals
Right,
in this week, so we're getting to the 2/3 mark,
right. So I think a smart use of the allowance right now. I don't think we're putting ourselves in any jeopardy.
Chiller pads poured, all that's been worked out, waiting on the chiller.
Just wait for the.
Underground salt.
We're getting underground, heat exchanger.
There might be something with hooking up the chiller, but we still have plenty.
We're down to
We should have plenty in the allowance.
plug and play, commissioning.
Yeah.
Punch list.
Okay. So,
We got those three
Brian,
changes.
just let us finish up the Board of Ed and then we'll get back to you. So absent anything else,
Change orders. We kinda got
oh
all
yeah,
that
you want to do the
stuff.
change orders first? Okay. We have change orders 12, 13, and 14.
If you're gonna do them as allowances,
Yeah, if you can approve the PCOs as presented, and then the $0 AIAs will
Right.
come
We
through.
still have to get an approval. So we have, it's going to be a change order number 12 for $4,096. It's correct existing hot water piping deficiency with dielectric fittings is the description.
I'll make a motion to approve that.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Number 13 is for $9,417, additional space sensors for classrooms with dividers. I'll provide labor materials program commissioning support for 3 additional space sensors. These sensors will count the additional room created when the divider wall is closed. D 279, 277, and 2 D 279s.
Make a motion to approve it.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And number 14, reroute hot water piping in lower level classrooms, provide labor materials to reroute hot water piping ceiling with a unit ventilator, existing supply and return pipes, which run through down the wall and to be abandoned in place. This work correlates to RFI number 26, rerouting the hot water supply and return to the lower level classrooms.
Motion approved.
That is for $17,706.
I'll make a motion approved.
I'll second.
Bart, Jason, all in favor?
Aye.
Any idea off the top of our heads what kind of allowances, kind of balance we have in the allowances? Do you remember, anybody remember?
There was about 185
Total?
as of today,
Okay.
minus these now.
That 185 includes taking this out or 185 prior to
Prior to
this?
this, yeah. That's the lump sum of the allowances. Yeah.
So, roughly 30 grand, right? A little over 30 grand. So we're down to 155 still. And what were the total allowances for the job?
Well, I think 2 and a quarter. I'd have to
Yeah,
look
so
back.
we're still
It's
way,
halfway.
we're in good shape. Okay. All right, since Brian got here, we'll go back. Yes,
I was listening for you. You're gonna wait on the invoices?
gonna wait on the invoices
Okay.
because we have an honored guest. Who's
Wow.
getting,
Hi, Tom.
how are you, Brian?
Good.
So since we don't want to take up all your time, you've been already at one meeting. I guess just a quick update in your mind on the police station, and then just a comment on how a steel beam was missed, needing let's say, requiring a
Change order one.
change order. Yeah,
Change order one.
We approved it.
we did.
I think the job is going quite well.
Yeah.
I'm impressed with Millennium. I'm impressed with Adam, who they have stationed here on a daily basis. As far as the progress of the work, I think they're a little ahead of where they were anticipating. They're going to pour the slab at the end of next week. And pouring the slab for me was always a milestone. That means all of the underground, under slab work is complete, including the grease oil separator, which was placed outside in the site area. We actually take the trench drains, we go exterior with the drains into a grease oil separator, but then we direct the pipe back into the building and down into the existing sanitary line. We took that path instead of tearing up the whole yard to get over to the sanitary, which is way over near Town Farm Road. So we just looped it and brought it back in. So if there is any oils from the trench drains, they'll collect in that grease oil separator and they wouldn't be introduced into the sanitary line. So all that work is done. They hit a little bit of ledge when they were putting in the grease oil separator. I was able to tell them that they informed me, notified me immediately. They asked, should we stop? And I said, by all means, no. Go, just document, document, document. So they've done that. And actually the rock was softer than they anticipated. They didn't need anything more than the machinery they had. They hammered it out and were able to get to the bottom of the excavation for that. There's only been one oops, and that was the header condition at the Sallyport door.
Okay.
The structural engineer didn't analyze that correctly. And when they put a lintel together to diagram the lintel condition for the Sallyport door, it wasn't going to work with the existing conditions. We want the two doors to really match each other. So what we've done is now revise the lintel to be a beam and a bottom plate instead of just a lintel. There's a little bit more demolition involved to make that happen, and there's just a little bit more masonry to make that happen. But the two doors are then going to match openings. It didn't make sense to have one existing opening and then a new opening that didn't really match.
The same size.
And
Elevation.
it was a different elevation, so I just said, no, we need to make these match. So we were on it early in the process. We provided a new lintel detail, and they priced it up. Is it something that we probably should have seen earlier? Yeah, probably could have, should have, would have is a great word. But we had to supplement the drawings to get them the right lintel. Other than that, the only other unknown that we had down there was in the area of the range, we had a ceiling at the firing line that we called for them to take the ceiling out. We just thought it was acoustical tile on plywood. It was acoustical tile on plywood on steel plate, and no one was aware that there was steel plate up there. So they're holding off on taking that down. They want to pour the slab first so they have a better way to then get staging up to there. But they indicated that even though it's steel plate, they're going to take it out they're not going to submit any extra for that. So it's a contractor that's willing to work with us and for us. And I'm sure if we can just keep that kind of in the back of our mind that it was good that they did that and they didn't charge us, we'll probably help them out with something that they might ask us for in the future also. So I think that relationship is working and working well, and I think it ultimately is going to work to our advantage without a lot of unnecessary paperwork. They don't seem to be heavy in paperwork, and they'd rather just get the job done. So I'm looking forward to that continuing.
Good. Well, we approved it, so.
Well, if you approved it, here's where you can sign then. This is the document that will get their signature on also.
Lisa, do you need this, or I'll just give it back to Brian?
I at least need to make a copy. I think we usually keep an original in the town clerk's office.
Right.
And do 3 sets of everything all the time.
Yeah, once I get Millennium's signature on that, then I'll get the final
There you
document.
go.
We had another meeting about the plaza waterproofing.
Okay.
Doug was there, Mike was there, Millennium was there. There is some leaking that's happening because of the plaza. A good portion of the lower level is under the plaza, if you're not aware.
Yeah.
The range goes, it splits the plaza in half, really. So we have a little bit of leaking. The worst leak that's occurring down there is identifiable because it's coming in through a conduit. And we know where the conduit comes up into a service access in one of the planters.
Oh, yeah, I heard about that. Yeah.
Doug says they don't use the conduit. They don't need the conduit.
Right.
If they wanted to bring extra power into a planter for lighting or something, it's a conduit they can use, but there's no plan to do that. So we're gonna terminate the conduit and seal it, and that should take care of the worst of the leak.
Yep.
There's another small leak that's happening near the front door, and it's coming down along a column, but it's very slow. Now, if you instructed us to take care of some of the waterproofing issues, but if you go out and really take a close look at the plaza, it's really failing in a lot of areas. It was an asphalt, pressed asphalt that went in there. It's cracked, it's heaved, we can't really do that justice
How old is
by
that?
patching this all up.
2009,
2009 or something?
I think 9, 10. We have
You don't want to take on the budget of fixing that entire plaza. So
No.
we're going to do the best we can to stop what we know. But because of all the cracks that are out there, you have the asphalt, which is on top of a concrete slab, which is on top of some insulation, which is on top of another concrete slab. So you have quite a sandwich out there. So yes, the asphalt's cracked, the water's getting down, and how it makes its way,
No, water finds its own way. So
but it has to go through 2 concrete slabs to make that happen. Now,
it's probably a
conduit,
crack in it.
a conduit's easy. Trying to chase all the other stuff
Well,
could be a real chore.
at some point in time, we're gonna have to address that, but
Yeah.
now isn't the time.
Yeah, I
But-
think we're gonna put a Band-Aid on something.
Yeah,
If you inject in the cracks, it expands and seals them off.
You could,
yeah, that'll open up a whole bunch of more cracks.
yeah. I mean, you could be chasing them
Yeah.
Originally, a slab was installed back in the 70s.
70s, yeah. And it's been doing pretty well. It has a waterproofing membrane within that sandwich because it's really minimal leaks that you have down there. They say the worst one is the conduit. And it really showed up when they put the vapor barrier down because then it collects on the plastic. And that's where you all of a sudden saw,
See
oh,
it, yeah.
it's leaking worse than we thought.
So are
because
they
it
gonna
was-
just seal the conduit, or are they
we're
cut
gonna,
it, pat-
we're
cut it,
gonna
patch?
cut it and patch over.
You were replacing all the drains, right?
I'm sorry.
You were replacing all the drains?
We're looking into that as well. Yeah, the yard drains, yep. Piping, associated piping, or some cast iron that's cracked.
No, if that's a source of some of the water.
Yeah.
Fragments in there.
But that's something for you and Mike to discuss, somebody has to tell somebody later on that that's gonna have to be addressed.
It's in the capital
Yes.
plan.
Okay, and that's, yeah,
No problem.
Which would help it long-term.
yeah,
So we are addressing that. We're looking at what we can do to seal up what we know. No guarantees on what's going to happen next month or 6 months from now without,
Oh, this is the worst it's gonna be.
yeah.
In theory.
yeah, right, that's exactly right.
Just a heads up on a couple other things that I wanted to bring to your attention. We have a $6,000 allowance in Millennium's contract for a mural. We have a corridor that's running, that new corridor that runs by the gym, by the locker rooms, and then out toward the back. It exits out the back. We have a gym area with a lot of windows that look out into this corridor. And on the far corridor wall, we've called for a mural to go on the wall.
Portrait of the Public Building Commission?
The mural
Approve this?
has
That's the plaque.
graphics. So we put this together for the police department to look at and comment on. We told the police department if they want to put artwork together for a
Yeah, do
mural,
whatever they want.
if they want to change this concept. So this is circulating around the PD. I wanted to bring it up to your attention if you're like, what mural?
$6,000.
This was costed out last year at $5,200.
Okay.
So that's why I put $6,000 in the allowance. So we could, it's in the project. I think it's gonna just dress up the corridor and add an element from when you're in the gym, you're actually looking through these windows at a visual instead of just looking out of the corridor. So the police department, once they,
Whatever they okay.
I left it in their hands, and
Yeah.
if they say go, I don't know if you want us to, if you want to see the final art.
They're the ones that are gonna have to look at it every day. So,
It's in there.
far be it from us
It's in their
to
space.
put my face on there and Jason's head.
You could take a picture altogether.
Could,
Says just
all of us saying you're
Yeah.
welcome, but no, whatever they want. And if they want anything over 6, it's their name.
We could use that picture right there.
Yeah.
Mike phones. Rocco falling asleep, Mike driving.
We had some FF&E in the soft cost budget. There's really not a lot of FF&E because most of the space is sally ports and locker rooms. There's no FF&E involved. But one area that we do have FF&E is evidence storage. And we have proposed high density shelving. We have 2 rooms for evidence storage. In one of the first room, we're proposing some high density shelving. These are the rolling files. And this system that has a capacity for 253 banker boxes.
Okay.
So most of the evidence is
Under lock
stored
and
in
key?
boxes. It's all under lock and key.
They're not cardboard banker boxes.
Yeah, they are. But
Oh, they are.
because the
Just
room
not
is,
the
the
cardboard.
room is under access control.
Okay.
Do any of them need to be, like refrigerated or anything?
Yeah, humidity and that sort of
That's
stuff.
what this box was
Okay,
refrigerated.
Okay.
It's the last police
Yeah, in
storage
case they
room I
have-
did, they had to have a refrigerator for some of it.
That's a refrigerator that they're, right
Human
now they
organs
don't
and stuff.
currently have. We also have refrigerated temporary evidence lockers that you don't see here. The police department evidence officer has this sketch. He's reviewing it to see that it meets their needs. The cost on this was about $17,500. You have $50,000, I think, was in the allowance for, it's not in Millennium's allowance, it's a soft cost that was in the project.
Is that long-term storage or short-term storage?
This is long-term. Okay. We have other evidence lockers for short-term. That's in the project already, in the project scope.
So
So
is
it-
that gonna be enough for long-term?
That's what he's looking at. He thinks he's good with this, but he's just looking at the shelving openings and
Yeah.
the shelving dimensions to see that it fits. Right now, they're not using the cardboard banker boxes, but they're using clear Tupperware. And he just wanted to see what his Tupperware dimensions are compared to the shelving spacing. But he thinks that this is a good solution and it maximizes his availability for storage. Now, there's a second room. So where the high density goes was this room. There's a room from there that goes into a second containment of evidence. And this is for firearms, valuables, and narcotics. It has to be double locked.
Right.
So you go into the first locked room and go to a second locked room and it's double locked. So access control gives you 2 credentials to get to this evidence. It's a triangular room. So we've also laid out specialty handgun and long gun storage in this room, in addition to more shelving for valuables and drugs and narcotics that's under their evidence. I don't
How
have
does
a
it
cost.
compare to the space they're using now? Any idea?
I think it's, if you put the 2 rooms together, it's more. But they don't have the ability right now with they're not using a high density system.
Okay.
So it's gonna maximize their storage within a similar amount of space. So that's what they were excited about. Even though the rooms are not getting larger than they have, the storage system is getting more efficient. Gives them a greater capacity.
Okay.
If they have something that's larger that won't fit on a shelf, it won't fit in here, like a bulk, that's what that storage room is for. It's down right now. Social services was using it for the food pantry.
Oh, okay.
That cage,
Like, what if they have to keep a car or something?
the caged area is for bulk things, couches, kegs of beer, things like that. It wouldn't fit in any of the solutions, but they have a bulk area, so that's also adding to their capacity.
What if they had to take Felix Lupia's father's lawn tractor when he was riding down Berlin Road years ago?
Goes in here, goes in there.
Did you say a dollar figure on that one?
I don't have a dollar figure yet on this room. The only dollar figure I have was $17.5 for this one.
They'll both come out of soft costs.
They are, and we're working on making sure this satisfies their needs.
Okay.
And we'll get a proposal back to you, but we're working on that to get a solution.
Could you just touch on the technology component also, just so they're all aware, the security coordination?
One more thing before we go. That stuff is ordered sort of off the shelf, so it gets delivered and installed, right? There's no time to build or create or craft these things. Okay. Just because they got to get done all by, when is it, October?
November 11th is their substantial completion date. 11/11.
11/11, okay.
Remember
Don't
11/11.
forget that
Doug brings up the last point that we need to just make you aware of. We had a meeting with the electrical contractor in Millennium because the access control and video is going into an existing department. So we can't just specify a new system because they already have a system. So the way we specified it is the electrical contractor supplying devices for access control, fob readers, and we have electrified hardware. And we have camera locations. There's 16 cameras that are identified on the plan. He's providing the cameras, and he's providing wiring back to the communication equipment room with slack cable for the owner's security vendor to then take that cable, plug it into their head end and program it. Because they already have a head end equipment. The police department, while they have a head end equipment, they don't want to continue with that vendor. Right now, it's a vendor that they use, but that's all they use them for. And they would much prefer to switch to another vendor because another vendor is offering more capabilities for integration of access control and video. What they have now is a Milestone software, which is Milestone's good for video. It's not so good at integrating video and audio. Norcom supplies a Vigilon system, which now integrates. And they would like to migrate to a new head-end equipment. So the police department is getting a proposal right now from Norcom to provide a new system to integrate their existing cameras and access control, and then take the new feeds and put them into a new head end. We're also doing this, and the police department are doing this, thinking about hopefully that there's going to be another project where they could take some of their existing stuff that's antiquated, make that new, plug that into then their new head end. Now they would have an integrated system that they've been wanting to do for a while. Why Doug brings this up is that would give the police department an integrated system, but they also need to integrate more with town hall and maybe schools. And is this something that the town should be looking at as a townwide vendor, not just a PD vendor? So all of this networks back to the PD in some form, but we don't want to provide something at the PD that now his custodians have to have 2 fobs
Right.
instead of 1 fob, now gets them town hall, police department.
Well,
So-
as you were talking and you brought it up, the idea with doing this, the way we're doing this, would be to have a follow-up project for all sorts of reasons. And would this be something that would be best served to be addressed and installed with the second phase, non-phase of this project? Together with what you bring up a good point, to go further than the police station, but incorporate it with schools and other parts of the town.
Well, that's a good question.
So I don't know the
And-
cost
and
of
the-
this.
But the way that we concluded was these new cameras and these new access control locations, you have 12 doors, 16 cameras. They need to be up and running on 11/11.
Right,
We need to plug them into something.
right.
They really don't want to go back to their current vendor and get them involved in that process. They would rather devoid themselves of
Is
that.
there an issue with the vendor, with the quality or the people? Do you think?
Sounds like it's the old system.
Yeah.
There's a lot of schools I work in, they're doing the same thing. They're getting rid of that. The old
Milestone.
milestone system.
They just want to get rid of the milestone system.
It's old.
Okay.
it-
Well, I'm
it's-
old too. You're gonna get rid of me?
Well, there's new technology.
There's better integration technology out there
Yeah.
than this milestone software. And if they get them involved, and now they're just expanding a milestone system because they might have
That they
to,
might be obsolete.
they might have to expand storage
Yeah.
because you're adding 16 video
Yeah.
sources
You got
into
the
this,
licensing.
Yeah.
and you got a
Purchase.
license for that, and so they don't want to throw good money into that bad solution.
I get it,
We
but
already
then you're
have
also
that.
gonna have to pick exactly what you want, because you might end up throwing good money after that.
Well, I think it
anyway.
involves now Doug's.
Right, because we already have the head end,
More
we already
bigger
have
umbrella.
the integration townwide, school-wide. So it's just a matter of plugging the PD in if they agree with it, but we have, what we call a pretty superior system, we feel.
They're running
is-
Genetech right
So where's the comma but for all this? It sounds so logical.
We just,
Cost
well,
$800,000?
it's just, there's a lot of players now. It's the PD, it's town IT, there's a lot of players.
You can't get everybody to agree on one.
Yeah, we have to, because the town's at the crossroads of, we have to do some additional upgrades. And then if we're gonna go out on our own with something different, or if we're gonna expand on what we have, there's a more of a cost factor using what we have for the good equipment that integrates everything. So before we throw more money at bad or multiple different types of systems, this was a great crossroad turning point for us to more internally bring it up. But
So we don't
Make
get
it
any
worse.
credit for the stuff that we're spending for this. It's just it's applied to a different vendor. So they're gonna home run stuff back.
They're gonna home run stuff back. One option you do have, which we discussed and it just didn't seem to make sense, you're not gonna get value, is the electrical contractor could just credit you all the cost of what they're doing for access control and video. And you do that through a common vendor. They would supply the camera, they would do the wiring, they would do the head end. Then you have one-stop shopping. You know who installed it, you don't have an
It's
issue.
all compatible.
I don't like when people start to point fingers.
Right.
It's, why is it not working? Well, it's their camera, it's his wire, it's his head end. But I was concerned that the value that they're gonna give you in a credit probably wouldn't
Wouldn't be
give you that,
apples and- Yeah,
give you that value if you turn to somebody else and say, now you do it.
right.
Couldn't we have them run the wire? It's really just the card readers would have to be changed to a new system. The hardware is the hardware, the door contacts are the door contacts. The cameras should work
If
with
the
either
IP
system,
based,
right, they're IP based.
IP-based
It really is
cameras,
just the card readers as far as in the head end equipment.
we
Really?
do have through Genetech and one of our providers, I guess there's a list, I'd have to pull it up, but it's the compatibility chart, I'll call it, for all IP cameras that work with our current software. So as long as the camera
Right. You could
cross-references
still
to
have
that.
the contractor
Right.
provide the cameras
do
and the
everything
wiring,
right.
and it's just really the head end, as
Yeah.
long as they're compatible.
So we just have to have the internal discussion about where to plug and play, but the project can do everything they're planning on doing and it's paid for with the vendor, assuming that those cameras are compatible with our software.
The only thing I'm not sure about is the card readers. Sometimes those aren't compatible. So you
We have to check
get a
those too,
credit
right?
on whatever they got approved and then an ad or whatever. The cost difference between the different card readers.
this is very typical when you're trying to expand an existing building. it wouldn't have been an issue if it was a new building because you'd have a whole new system, head
Right.
end to the,
Right.
to the end device to a head end, it's all new. But we're trying to patch, and we're discovering now we're patching into something that they really don't want anything to do. And that's where it raised the issue. Now, the town runs a Genetec system. Genetec's a great program. Genetec does video and audio, and a lot of PDs are using Genetec as their system. So Genetec is a viable option. They wanted to go to Norcom that has a Vigilon, so, which is also a great system. And Norcom, the reason they want to go to Norcom is because they do all their console,
The police department wants
the
to go to
police.
But
Yeah,
the town may want to go to somebody else.
It's-
Okay, what do you,
it's-
but
well,
you need,
somebody's-
you don't need anything from us tonight.
No,
there's
no,
nothing.
we're not going anybody else. We already have it. We have it. It's maintained. It
Yeah.
functions. It does all the schools, all the.
No, but I
towns.
mean, in terms of what the PBC
Right.
needs to do
No-
based on
nothing-
this.
No
stuff,
action tonight yet.
There's nothing, but it seems to me that somebody, I don't know who it is.
Yeah, we have to, Mike and I,
Probably you and Mike,
Mike and I have to work with
and
internally.
somebody has to go and talk to other people in the town,
Yep.
and then do some questions, and Brian can certainly help if they don't
think
understand what you're talking about, and you can put it into more common language.
The Envisilon seems to be a little more catered to public safety and also the vendor.
I get it.
They call the 1-800 Norcom. They do everything.
Yeah.
Consoles, cameras, access control, but are we gonna have some overlap between town technology and PD technology? Because the town IT department manages both, so.
You could be able to get this done in 8 months.
it's just a little thing we have to resolve, Bart, and so we're doing it.
And that's to have it installed in 8 months.
Yeah,
You gotta make a
installation,
decision in a couple months.
we gotta get it up and
Lead
running.
times.
Lead times, not the actual installation.
Can I ask a
Well-
question?
Got some work to do. Yes.
So Doug mentioned that there's compatibility reviews. Do we know what our equipment is in the PD? And can we confirm that that's compatible with Genetec now? If we know what our equipment is, so we know we don't have to make a change or do anything there, just thinking about that.
We can
The
send.
existing cameras?
No, the proposed new camera.
Well, we're gonna get a submittal
Yeah.
very soon on the proposed cameras, so we'll
Okay,
know.
so we
what
don't
they
know
are.
what those are yet,
I
that's
don't know
fine.
what the existing cameras are. Because they're all plugged into the Milestone system.
Once we have the submittal, our security provider can confirm that if they're
Well,
compatible.
because the existing cameras may not be compatible with the new system either. They may have to change all
They're
those out.
Those are-
Sounds like a good salesman job.
I thought it was Diamond Right ruled pads and number 2 Tri-Rex pencils.
But I do think they're all based, I don't think there's any analog
Oh,
cameras down there. If they're in the Milestone system right now, they're
We should put them
Probably
right up
IP.
there and just see how they work.
they might have some that are gonna be thrown away.
By the way, I keep looking at Mike. It looks like a 1950s horror movie with Mike driving, no sound, and like a loop.
Yeah, he's in the dark now.
Motions.
Oh,
There's
Alfred Hitchcock.
So these
Yes.
are just issues. There's nothing you really need to act on. I
Yeah,
just wanted to
it
get
might be
you,
coming.
awareness, yeah.
Yeah.
keep your ears open to some of this, and
Okay.
you might hear it.
Mr. Chairman, did you want to go down to 9-1 on behalf of Brian still being present, old business? He just had his presentation tonight. He may be able to.
Oh, that's true, yeah. Yeah, okay,
Is that
let's,
approving our invoice?
No, we already-
well, we're gonna approve your invoice. I mean, we did already.
Steak tonight.
The community center update. Anything
Oh, I didn't know you were gonna ask me about that.
brief?
I heard a thing about that.
Brief, because we don't want Bart's head to explode.
I already heard
Bart knows it. He could give you an
I
update.
already I heard the phone call earlier today. It was about 4:30.
Lisa was nice enough to send the link prior, so everybody has it.
Oh, you have this?
The gentlemen have it.
It
Electronic.
doesn't mean we read it.
You don't have to read it. And the one thing I didn't do on this one, which I kicked myself, is I've been putting draft at the top of this religiously. I've been putting draft. For some reason, this got past me and I didn't put the word draft on it, but this is a draft.
Okay.
So I'm gonna reissue it with the draft on it. So I don't know how much this has been circulated, but it is a draft. It's a draft that's been put together by a subcommittee that I've been tasked to work with. Subcommittee is a combination of staff and committee members. Commission on Aging and Park and Rec. So we've been working since January.
Any citizens? Just all bosses, all chiefs, no
Department
Indians?
heads and chairman of the commissions.
Been working since January on multiple meetings, multiple discussions. And this is just 8.5 by 11, trying to understand if the town was to go forward with the project and build something, what are the needs? And it's really been some discussions of challenging, why is that a need? So, is it a want? Is it a nice to have? Really, how do you describe the need? And originally, I think there might have been some resistance to me even coming in and challenging, because they had already done this. Now they're having to do it again. And I could understand some hesitancy of, why are we doing this? And why are we having to get involved with this? But the committee has been really good, in my opinion, of staying on task and understanding, if the town was to spend money on a solution, what does the solution need to include? And this, in its draft form, was presented tonight for the first time outside of the subcommittee.
To
To
town
the,
council?
it was a joint meeting of Commission on Aging and Park and Rec.
Okay.
That was down in the Board of Ed meeting room tonight. It was the first time that it got out of subcommittee. And now that the representatives, the chairs of those two committees, have tasked their full committee to understand what this says and endorse it on a committee level, so they can speak in one voice to say, yes, they endorse this as the need for a community and senior center.
And then from there, it would go to the town council.
Well, they asked, town council in my agreement has asked me to do some additional things in addition to just getting their endorsement and bringing it back.
Okay.
Such as, they've asked me, in my opinion, could this be accomplished in phases? Can this be accomplished on multiple sites? Can this be accomplished reusing existing sites? Can this be, what are some options they have to satisfy, if these are the needs, what are some options that I can put forward that could satisfy these needs in alternative ways? That's not for the committee to answer. They've asked for me to answer. I have not been asked to do any involvement with any discussions with the why. That's not in my scope. It's not in my scope to go out and do a floor plan or a site plan. I'm not designing anything. And it's not in my scope to actually come back and give them a cost estimate, other than if it's, right now we're about 50,000 square feet. I can give them a ballpark of 50,000 square feet for a building of this type. That's about all I can do.
But that's 50,000 square feet for the programs. It could be in 4 different locations, 2
Depending on-
existing and 2 to be built. That's based on what you're
Depending
saying.
on the options that
Yeah,
we
okay.
present. Yeah.
Gotcha.
So we're at 50,000 and change right now. 50,215. The square footage number is all mine. I haven't asked the subcommittee how many square feet do they need.
Right.
I've asked the subcommittee if they need a meeting room, how many people do they need in the meeting room?
Right.
If they need a kitchen, what do they need to do in the kitchen? If they need a dining room, how many people are they going to put in the dining room? That's been the discussion with the subcommittee. Then I put a square footage number on it. And I then say to the committees, if this is your description of the building, I believe I can do it in 50,000 square feet. And that's where we're at right now. The committee is not asked to do any voting tonight. They're going to vote in April. I'm looking to get this back to the council sometime in May. And if it's
That's a good way to do it, I think.
goes in their hands.
Because it basically, you're just asking questions. And you're not giving them anything other than regurgitating back what they've told you they've needed, and you interpret it with your expertise into space. But they're not arguing over hallways or floor plans or anything. It's just sheer space, which is one of the big things that we,
I believe that draft concept would be about 20,000 less than the
yeah,
first
it was the other
proposal.
one, 74.
The last was 72, I was
72,
told.
yeah, so, yeah.
So it's gone from 72 to 50. And in a sense, there are some major things that aren't in here that were in the earlier. This has one pool. It still has a pool, but has one pool. The other had two pools.
Two pools.
Or
yeah.
so yeah, there's some definite things that you can say aren't in here. But the other decision that was made this time was social services is not part of this space need, which I think the other proposal did have the
Yes,
social
it did.
services and food pantry and everything was. This is just community senior center, and they focused on just what those needs are. I visited both buildings. We've documented the square footage of what they have now. If you combine what they have right now, the two buildings, they have 30,000 square feet of space. In a really simple way to analyze this is you're taking your 30,000 square feet of space that one's 85, one's 21, they combine them 30,000. You add a gym at 10,000, you add a pool at 10,000,
Bingo.
you're at 50,000 square feet of space. Right. It's kind of very boiled down, simplistic. This gets into
But there's,
a lot of detail, but that's
yeah,
in summary, that's what it's boiling down to.
but there is efficiency in new space, depending on how you run your programs.
This,
So I get
while
that.
the square footage of 30 and 30 is similar, it doesn't represent what they're doing today.
Right.
This is using your 30,000 square feet more efficiently,
Much more
more
efficient.
functionally.
Yep.
It addresses what the needs are. The senior center is really, really, woefully inadequate.
Yeah, I get it.
So don't love
Woefully
the school.
inadequate. Yeah. I also have gone to both the housing authority and the library and ascertained, is there a need for the existing square footage if senior center or the community center was to vacate their space? Because I needed to know that for options.
Right.
And both conversations, the housing authority, they would take the space today. That's how much they need it. The housing authority owns that building, and the housing authority wants to expand and use the area of the senior center. And their interest is to make that their administrative area for the housing authority, so they can turn,
That's the one by Pettit Field.
yeah, so they can turn other areas into housing. They're desperately wanting to increase their housing units. So the building that's over here at Marjorie Moore that they have for administrative could be converted to additional housing, where the admin would go over the offices at the senior center. So yeah, they definitely have a plan. Their plan is immediate, and they're also stating that the housing units that are at Percival, when they were first constructed, a lot of people didn't drive.
Right.
But now more and more of those people that are in there have cars, and they need to dedicate a space for the units that are there to have parking close. So their parking demand is pushing the senior center parking further and further away from the front door, because they get priority parking at the entrance location. So yeah, it's a situation that's going from bad to worse. The community center space, I talked with Kim, who just left as the library director. I was able to have a meeting with her before she left. She said her long-range plan for the library, and it was both the assistant at the time and Kim, they do have a long-range plan. They would like the space below them.
Put the elevator in there about 10, 15 years.
The elevator's there, the space is there. There are some challenges with having adults and youth on the same floor. They'd like to separate that off. They would really encourage the social services and food pantry to join them at the library. They think that's something that they would really like and support. And so that's one of the reasons why social services came out of here. So we're kind of looking this more globally. What happens with the pools in town? What happens with the outdoor pools, what happens with Pistol Creek, so it's kind of a holistic approach to say, where is the town going and what's the solution?
Right.
But my solution is only this. This is as far as I go.
Well, it's better than what they started with.
Yeah, much better.
Yeah.
We have a chance now.
We got two
At least they
one-page
have some.
mimeograph copied of statement of needs. Same thing, just different letterhead.
But also they have some
We're up to
support
17
and
pages
backup.
long now.
Some stuff that's been reasonably vetted.
Right.
As opposed to, oh, we need it. So whoever yelled at the
But
table out.
it's good you look at all the other stuff going on.
It is, yeah.
Well, I needed to because of that options.
Right.
That they wanted to be addressed. If I don't understand the bigger picture, I don't really have an educated ability to say these are your options.
Well, I was on one of those charter revision commissions, and the whole concept of the council was to do planning instead of reacting. And I'm glad they're actually planning now and thinking about long-term solutions opposed to, oh, this pool needs fixed, let's put a Band-Aid on this. That building needs fixed, let's put a Band-Aid on that. Let's,
And there's also the age-old conflict all the time with needs and wants.
right, right,
I need a car to get to work.
right.
Do I need a Cadillac or do I need a Chevrolet?
Or you can take the bus.
Well, if there's no
Do
bus.
we need outdoor pools in town, or do we need a pool that could be used 12 months out of the year and then not need an outdoor pool? There was one statistic that the pool was used 55 days last year. 55 days out of the year.
And probably no more than 50 families use that pool.
Which pool?
The one in East Berlin, or even the one in,
First
Well,
of all,
Would it be used more if it was endorsed?
well, that's the argument. You gotta get 12 months out of the year instead of 2 months.
Or do people just say associated with pool use in the summer?
But their
But
problem,
why in my hometown, which is a huge one, Jersey, different programs, I get it. It's in one massive building. It's got they run swim teams out of there. But the usage, swimming, goes way down other than spring and summer.
and the problem with Lorna Open is.
Even though it's open and it's nice, people don't think to go swimming. It's, the vacation, summer,
When it's
swimming
open 2 months, you can't get lifeguards because nobody wants to work 2
Right.
months. You need to have a full stock of lifeguards who are willing to work
Anything else?
and develop that.
Anything else you could think of? Touch on?
Yeah, you got your report coming up.
oh, it's been fun. I think I always like to get involved with projects that have continuation and a solution and an end and we're architects. We like to see something built and realized. But for this one, I understand that I just need to hand it off and then see where it goes.
Yeah. Might come back, who knows?
It may. That's above my pay grade, but
Right now.
We still have to, first, we still have to find a jackass. That's pooping money.
Now he's got to go to the finance board.
It's not just Berlin either. It's every single town in Connecticut.
Yeah.
Goes.
I thought it was gonna be the Chukunski Humes Memorial
It's
Community
gonna
Center.
be
They're
a
gonna
big
build
juggling
that.
act. Yeah.
so you need 50, right now you need 50,000 square feet and 4.5 acres.
Material Drive, number 15. Sold.
The whole parking lot could be a big pool.
Well, my taxes just went up $1,000 this year. So about $2,000 next. All right, gonna chase you out of here, Brian, because we got more stuff to go by. So thanks for the update.
I'm
Appreciate
glad I
it.
caught you when I did.
Thank you, Brian.
Did we,
Back to 5.
did we approve? We did approve Brian's?
Yes.
I can't remember that for.
Yes.
10 minutes ago.
Then I can go.
Mistake tonight.
I know. All right, so I guess now we go to approving the invoices, right?
Yes.
We had the update already. So we have Newfield's regular monthly invoice of $20,388.50.
Make a motion to approve.
A second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed?
Abstain.
Mr. Abstention.
Can we vote on that?
Well, I vote yay.
Okay.
Yes, we can.
Thanks, Brian.
Yes, absolutely.
Have a good night.
Thanks, Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah, we still have a quorum, but we don't have to have it. You had 1 and 3 abstentions.
realize
The
that.
quorum's still here.
That's your vote.
And then we have all states application for $177,445.75.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. And we have an invoice from Fryer, which is professional services through February 23rd. $240.
I'll make a motion.
I guess that's $240 is the bill.
The cheap one.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anybody opposed? Okay. That's approved. Moisture review update.
Did everybody have a chance to look at the revised proposal?
I saw that, I couldn't print it.
Yep.
And I was having a hard time reading it, but it looks to me like the
It's only
Price
part
of
their agreement.
price of the services went up from
Yeah, there's a couple.
$13,000 or something like
Yeah,
that.
broke it out, some additional scope if you want to do it.
Yeah,
If you want to discuss further internally and we can get back to them, or if you're comfortable.
no, I mean, I think we discussed the heck out of it. Tom called them and, we knew what we were getting into for doing that. The only, I really had no issues. I figured that was just about where we're gonna be. I guess the issue was, where's it coming from?
There's some money left allocated under the PVC for that, and then I think the rest we can supplement.
Okay,
I'll let you know. We'll work out the PO details if everybody's in agreement.
okay. Yeah, that was my, we need to do it. We've been told to do it.
Mike, did you have any other thoughts on that and any other conversations you've had regarding Lorero?
Actually, if you guys can hear me, sorry about it, I'm passing a tractor trailer truck. Is Don there, number one?
No, he couldn't make it tonight.
Okay, he has been looking at getting a proposal from a flooring expert to kind of like look at the whole thing, like from the I don't know, the $30,000 foot level, and you can approve this, but I thought Don would be there to give you a little input on what he was thinking, because he was thinking we should get like an expert in case we have to go to court, have them sort of lay out the investigation and, sort of the follow through and even do some of the work looking at the tiles and the slab issues. So you can approve it.
To do that.
What was that?
Yeah. I said we'll still have time to do that, but I think we got to do what we need to do now first.
Right. I just wanted to let you know what he was thinking and he was doing behind the scenes.
Yeah. No,
But-
there's no question that we may have been forced to go that route anyway. If this investigation is gonna tell us what it's gonna tell us. But it
Right.
may
And
not-
I
it may
think,
not
yeah, and
give
I-
us the-
go ahead.
it may be that they say, sorry, we haven't identified anything, and the water's coming from someplace else.
Right. And I think even if we do bring on someone else that Don thinks is an expert, they'll probably be able to use the Lorero data anyway. And I know they will actually. So we can, I have no objection.
Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, the big thing is, what budget it comes from. But they asked us to do this. There's no, this is, out of the blue, out of left field. So I'm assuming it's coming out of some
As long as we have the approval in the minutes, Mike and I will work on with Lisa
budget 61 or
yeah.
whatever that thing is. Okay. Area 61. Yeah.
That time of year we start transferring.
Okay. All right.
Is there a motion?
When will they start, by the way?
They laid out their timeline in the proposal, but I think once the approval to proceed is received, I think there was kind of a 2-week initiation to get going, and then probably I think about up to a 2-month process to get the final report issued.
So we then need a motion to approve accepting
The proposal, yeah.
the
I'll like,
proposal.
make a motion to accept the proposal.
I'll second it.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Passes, good. Get going on that.
Pending, how do pending
Pending nothing, we just approved it.
Funding will be
Okay.
coordinated.
budget coordination.
Oh, funding, yeah, okay.
Areas of team.
But that's not all, they're gonna find the funding, according to Doug, so I'm not worried about it. All right, the next one is McGee Middle School Science Classroom updates. I made a copy of what I said here somewhere. I did a bunch of investigation on the internet and came up with some interesting data. And there's actually I'm sorry, the print is really small. It was about a month ago. There's a guy who works for the state of Connecticut whose title is, I wish Mike was here because he'd have to get bigger print. Anyhow, he's in Hartford, and I think they call him the science guy. He's in charge of science labs for the entire state of Connecticut. And so I explained what we were doing here, and he replied the next morning at 7 o'clock. He does a lot of stuff through email, but he said he was somewhat surprised. He said, the best lab guy I know, and I explained to him that I think that we needed somebody who understands how to set up a lab based on curriculum. And he replied back that I was 100% correct. It's entirely based on your curriculum. And then he said, the best lab guy I know lives in the state of Connecticut, is a national consultant from renowned esteem in his area of expertise is lab safety, and he's our go-to guy in that realm. His name is Dr. Ken Roy, and he gave me guy's email. And
Yeah, we could share that with the board. And
well, this is what I would make my suggestion. But then he said, before becoming the state of Connecticut science guy, I also worked as a school superintendent in charge of several building projects over my 36-year career. The best architects I ever dealt with were Castle Boots. So he said, if you're going to design a lab, you absolutely have to talk to Castle Boots or the people who work at Castle Boots. He's one of them. Third one, I have seen, let's see. I have seen great lab spaces over my many, many years, and many not so great. I think the key will be finding a group of people that understand what Berlin is looking to accomplish in regard to its curriculum. Oh, about that. In that regard, you have a great resource. The former superintendent of schools in Berlin, Dave Irwin, is someone who can advise you because he does that type of work right now. Apparently, he's some kind of advisor for establishing labs, science. So Irwin comes highly recommended. Whatever your opinion of him is as a parent, he comes highly recommended in this. And then lastly, the Connecticut Science Supervisors Association may be able to direct you to the latest and greatest lab spaces throughout the state. And he gave me the name of the president. In other words, somebody we could talk to, or the school could talk to speak with other schools, other towns and other school systems that have most recently built labs. And depending upon their specific curriculum. And a curriculum for 6th, 7th, and 8th graders is entirely different. It's different for each grade. And there's a 248-page report, if anyone cares, interested in getting on their website to read about how you establish curriculums for each one in the state of Connecticut. So much for Jeff Kugnos. There's no information on it. So I think, and I sent this reply to Mike, but I think at this point, we should give this information to Jeff give it to somebody in the Board of Ed at McGee, preferably the principal of McGee School, because I think he or she will be directing this and say, look, here you go.
The curriculum directors, I don't know if you had a chance to look at what they had sent for a new backup.
I did see
Yeah.
some of that. It was pretty good.
It would go to them.
Yeah.
And they would work it out.
I
with us.
think that lady that wrote that did a very good job. That was my opinion when I read it. But they still need to go a lot further and then develop this sort of stuff, because it was sort of one of those, she threw everything in the kitchen sink in there, and rightfully so. But,
It'd be a great tool to help them, because this came up before with STEM programs, of
Right.
reaching out to somebody that would come and consult them, help them build the curriculum based on their needs. So
right. So there's a whole bunch of people that get in here, but it's, he said, if you do anything, if you just build a lab, you're doomed to fail. You need to figure out what you want to accomplish and then cater your lab. Because he remembers McGee, and he said, as I recall, you have some very fine cabinetry in there. So if in fact that needs to get replaced, which was something they talked about doing, I would assume that the town would love to get its hand on that cabinetry, half of which is vacant. They don't use the space at all. It's empty. So, I mean, you could certainly repurpose that. They're beautiful carpentry work.
that's great. And Mike
Jason would take it in his garage in a second.
Mike has information. We can share that with the board.
Yeah. So, and if you can't, I can get it to you. Well, I got to figure out how I can get my print bigger than this.
The key's gonna be how specific is it for this curriculum today? And is the curriculum gonna change in 5 years and make the lab obsolete in 5 years?
All those people who voted to run on the Berlin Board of Education, that's what they ran on, to do this. This is the very work they should be doing, not us.
Right.
However, I'll certainly ask them if they thought about this, if they come to us to, apply for money. Because the way it came down is
You don't know what's going on.
we have no idea. Yeah. So I think I already alerted Mike, and I think Mike, did you end up talking to Aroche to say this may be coming back at him a little bit, or not yet?
I think he knows, and because I think the meeting that we had with you and the mayor and Don, I think that message was, hey, it's got to go back to the Board of Ed, but we're willing. The group is willing to assist with finding a professional to help them kind of refine their asks, So,
maybe
but I haven't.
Yeah, maybe
go ahead.
now's the time for you to forward that email I sent you. Just send it to Aroche and say, hey, look, we did a little due digging. Here's some great resources. Who best from the town should follow up on this?
Yeah.
And
By the way, I did have a meeting. I had another meeting with Aroche, and I actually brought your email in, and I told him the whole thing. So he does know what's going on. Yeah.
So then we could just ask him, look, where should we go? I mean, I don't want to go out and walk out on a pier by myself. I wouldn't know what to say. I'm not a science teacher.
Right. Okay. I'll reach out.
Okay. Thanks. Go back to your grade B movie. All right. Any new business? Hearing none. Good. Any old business?
Nothing to report on the high school closeout.
Hearing none.
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Okay. Thanks, Rocco.
8:30,
Thanks, Mike.
Drive safe, Mike.
you say.
Mike, wherever you're going, drive safe. You've been driving a long time.
All right. Take care, guys. Thank you.
You're in a fake movie.
Wake up, Rocco.
Good stuff. This was an experiment. It worked out okay, actually.
What's that?
For those with or without Irish heritage.
You too. Thanks, Jason. Yeah.
Have a good night.